And we are live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Purple Pill Pod. We got a special interview today with the man, the greatest, Paul. What's going on, bro? Why don't you give your introduction?
Yeah, I'm the world's greatest manospherian. Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I'm the host of the Come On Man podcast. It's a podcast I started going on 3 years ago now. And it came out of a men's group that I was in, and we were all students of Corey Wayne's book, How to Be a 3% Man. And so it started off as sort of like a fan podcast, like fellow students. And that's where the Come On Man comes from, because Corey Wayne always says, come on, man, to dumbass people that write into a show with stupid questions. And it's blossomed from that into a much bigger podcast. I originally started interviewing fellow guys in the group, and then I started branching out and talking to other guys in the space, and it's just snowballed there from there. So
Is that how you like met Rolo and all them too?
yeah, that's how I met Rolo, because it was in 2021. I set out an intention to interview Dr. Robert Glover and Corey Wayne, and I'm a big law of attraction guy. I talk about it in my book, but that was my big intention that year. I was going to talk to those two guys. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Now it's like, I've done so much of that. It's like, it's not even hard to get bigger names on the podcast, like I figured it out. But at that time, I had no idea how to do it. I was just like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to figure this out. And a friend of mine had Dr. Robert Glover on his podcast. So I was like, dude, how'd you do it? How did you get a hold of him? And he goes, oh, he's got a website and he just has a contact form. You can email him. And I'm like, what? Like, it's that easy? That's ridiculous. So I tried doing the same thing with Corey, and Corey just, he ignored me. And at first I was thinking, well, this guy, he's probably, he's busy. He's probably not seeing my posts. Well, one day, the guys from the group, the 3% Man group, which is now the 3% Brotherhood on Facebook, if you guys ever want to join that. Okay. The guys from the group went to one of Corey's videos and started spamming the crap out of one of his YouTube videos. And I was like, oh, this has got to get his attention, And so I go there and I'm thanking everybody for, hey, thanks for thinking of me and stuff. An hour goes by, he goes by and systematically deleted all those comments. And I was like, okay, he sees the comments, he's deleting them. He doesn't want to do my show. Okay, fine. And so one of the things, I don't think I quite cover it in the book, but when it comes to law of attraction, you have to sort of be open to something better coming along, Yeah. And at that point, I was almost crushed, like, oh, what am I going to do? And all of a sudden I got this epiphany. Why don't you reach out to Rollo Tomasi? Why not? And at that time in my head, I was sort of, we talked about it on the interview that I had with you. I used to consider myself somewhat purple pill, and I kind of looked at Corey Wayne as like the Jedi, of the Manosphere, and Rollo as like the Sith Lord, like he was the bad guy. I was like, why? This is just my stupid, idea at the time. So I go and tweet out to Rollo, hey, how do I book you for an interview? Because I saw that he had done other people, like much smaller podcast interviews before. And I was like, how did those guys, he obviously does smaller podcasts. And so I just tweeted out, like, within 5 minutes, Rollo replied back saying, hey, I'm following you, DM me. I'm like, what? Okay. Wow. So I DM'd Rollo, and Rollo was just super cool. He's like, yeah, I'll be happy to do your podcast. And so Rollo came on the podcast, and I ended up interviewing Rollo, which that opened the door to interview like Rich Cooper and all the other Rule Zero guys. Mm-hmm. And it opened more doors for me. So it was actually a better thing that I was able to interview Rollo than I think if I interviewed Corey, it would have been like a one and done thing and nothing would have came of it.
Oh, so, yeah.
So it worked out well.
You got into a brotherhood just because of Rollo being the one that responded, kind of, because he was building such a network.
Yeah. Yeah. And he really is. And you've met him in person, right? You went out to Access Vegas. Rollo's a pretty down to earth guy. He's normal, yeah. He says, if you're cool with him, he's genuine. He wants to help you out. He's just a real good dude to know. If you mess with him in any way, like he will do whatever he can to destroy you. It's like I don't want to get on his bad side ever, but that's just how he is, you know.
Dude, there's a lot of people online that are like that. Mark Webb actually, went on whatever podcast, the guy, the Saint in the Center. He's that guy there in Vegas, also by them, and he also debated Rolo like a week or so ago, actually, on his channel. But that guy is just the type. He's just not the type that I want to beef with ever. There's a lot of people that you just kind of avoid online, so you just avoid the beef. Speaking
Yeah.
of beefs, though, I've been having a lot of beefs lately with men's rights activists. What's your opinion on men's rights activists?
Man, I think the concept of men's rights is good. What ends up happening though is a lot of women find their way into the space. So you have a lot of women in the men's rights space, and I don't know. I don't think they're not really helping anything. You know.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't like their solutions a lot because sometimes it's to be more equality stuff, and it's just like I don't think we're equal, so that's not always gonna work.
yeah, yeah. That a lot of the women they're egalitarians, you know, and it's like,
It's like Willow always says, they come in and make things communal.
they do. They do. They take it over, and men can't. The problem with women in men's spaces is that men start self-censoring because they don't want to offend the ladies in the space, and then they can't get done what needs to get done. They can't say what needs to be said. It doesn't help at the end of the day. So I don't know. I mean, there's some groups that do well. There's like a fathers' rights movement that I would say is a part of the men's rights community. They actually work to go get laws changed. Like in Florida this year, they changed uh, the parenting law there to a default 50-50. So
That's
um,
really cool. See, I would like to get behind a group like that for sure.
yeah, if they're doing something, but if they're just online bitching and complaining for clout, are you really helping? I don't know. But we're
Yeah.
spreading awareness. Are you? Okay, I don't know.
Have you heard of Sandman before? He's like
Yeah,
a MGTOW guy. But
Sandman MGTOW. Yeah, I see his content sometimes on Twitter. Yeah, I don't really follow him on YouTube or anything.
yeah, I don't follow him either. I just like whenever I started debating people, all the people online were like, "Oh, you need to hit up Sandman. You hit up Sandman." I guess he's like an OG. It's the MGTOW stuff. So I've been so new to everything that I really don't even know about all these old names, and I'm always curious about these people because I don't know anything about them. I only know about the guys who went on Fresh and Fit, really.
Yeah, yeah. The MGTOW guys, they're an interesting bunch, man, and I can respect guys that are really going their own way. You know, I would say my brother is a true MGTOW guy.
Mhm.
He has never been good with women. He is disgusting. He doesn't like to shower. He lives like a homeless person. He likes to gold mine in the summertime. You know, he has a couple of mining claims. He lives in a camper shell. That's his house. And then he works as an auto mechanic and just saves all of his money. So I think my brother's a millionaire, but
Yeah,
he never spends his money. He just hoards it all and then buys land with it.
I mean it's smart.
Yeah, but you know what else he's not doing? He's not online bitching about women.
Yeah,
He's literally out living his best life. Like, okay, cool. I respect that. But the guys in the MGTOW content creation space, I have a big problem with those guys because their whole business model is keeping guys in a negative mental space
yeah,
that keeps them from ever, finding real solutions to their problems. So they all just get online, they commiserate about how all the women are bad and how they're screwed and how they're victims. And it's like that's not helping anybody. But they can't make money off their merch. I mean, if you look at what's one of those guys? Not I think
Undead Chronic. That's a
Undead Chronic. I think that guy's he's he's on the spectrum. Let's just say he's on the spectrum. Better Bachelor. That's what Better Bachelor has. Better Bachelor merch, and you can go and get on his Patreon, and where he can really bitch about women, and it's all about making money off of guys' misery,
yeah.
and it's like that's not helping dudes out. And so I have a big problem with that.
There's gonna be a change up here soon because there's so many people that are getting tired of it. I think it's like what Rolo talked about, like this works in seasons. And
Mm.
I think the next season's coming where everybody's just gonna not like red pill stuff because they're gonna say it's just complaining and moving the political cycle. I wanted to ask, more specifically about your book. Is there something like, do you have like a elevator pitch that you give for it so then people can really understand what the basis is other than like your title?
Oh, I need to write that down. Elevator pitch for my book. No, I don't have an elevator pitch. So the book, when I wrote it, so I have a not for resale copy here because all my autograph copies that I had on hand got sold out. So that's a good problem to have. Uh, when I wrote the book, I really wanted, I kept hearing people in the comments saying, man, I wish I knew this when I was 18. Man, I would have saved myself from so much heartache if I knew this when I was 18.
Mhm.
So when I was thinking of what am I going to write a book about? I was like, there's plenty of dating books out there already, and I talk about, there's like 3 core dating books that I recommend to people. And I was like, I don't want it to just do another dating book. I really want to write about everything that I've learned on this self-improvement journey that I've been on since I got divorced in 2013. And some of that is how to invest, how to save for retirement. Before that, I had like $20,000 credit card debt. And a lot of that was because when I got divorced, I just let my ex-wife take all of our furniture. So I had to refurnish an entire house. And so I ended up putting all that on credit.
Ooh.
And but when I learned about how to get out from under credit card debt, I learned about good debt versus bad debt. I learned how to manage money better. Um, I learned all of that stuff after I was 35 years old. And how to invest in stuff like Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs and 401ks and Bitcoin and all the different types of vehicles that you can manage your money in. I didn't learn all of that stuff until after I was 35, and I was like, man, if I would have known this when I was 18, I'd probably be a millionaire by now, And so that kind of stuff's in my book, and my book really is just, it's life lessons for anybody that's like coming out of high school.
Mm.
Like how do you pick a career? You got to imagine what your life is going to be like. What kind of life do you want to live? Most kids don't think about that.
Yep.
Do you want to go swimming with dolphins in Florida and stuff, or get eaten by sharks, whatever happens in Florida? Well, then you gotta make enough money at whatever job that'll allow you to live that lifestyle, right? So
Yep.
you got to sort of figure out what kind of life you want to live and work backwards from there to figure out what you want to do to get there. If you
Mhm.
want to be someone that travels the world all the time, well, you got to be able to afford that. That costs money. You probably can't do that working at McDonald's, So
You have to reach higher.
yeah, you got to think about that kind of stuff. And then I also talk about education, like a lot of jobs these days don't require a college education. It makes no sense getting
Yep.
into tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt when you can go get an industry certification for 200, $300 and
Yep.
make just as much money as someone with a bachelor's degree. So I talk about that kind of stuff. And then obviously it goes into, dating and spinning plates um, and how to manage long-term relationships and stuff like that.
Attraction.
All of that. Yeah.
Talk a lot about that. So I mean, it sounds like it's a perfect book for men that maybe didn't have a father figure in their life, even men that didn't have a strong father figure in their life. It's really necessary right there at the age of 18. What's crazy is I had a father that was very successful, very good at investing, very good at saving, and he never really went into detail to teach me anything like that. So even kids that are growing up in households with just a good father, the fathers are so distracted, they still need a book like what you put out, because the fathers don't even teach them those things, or they don't even know. They're just ignorant of it themselves. So yeah, I really think that your book is just perfect for any man at that age, because their fathers aren't going to teach them it 9 times out of 10, sadly, in this world.
Yeah. And I also want to emphasize too, I mean, the title of the book is Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. You don't have to be 18 to read the book. You can be in your 30s and read the book. There's probably some things in here that you didn't know, and it would be good for you to know. And it's better to know now in your 30s than if you get into your 50s and go, oh crap, I didn't have a retirement set up. Like, what am I going to do? Live off Social Security? Like, that's that's not going to be existent, here in a few years. So you've got to start now, and you got to take ownership of it.
Yeah, actually, I have a weird question about that. What's your opinion on life insurance? That's something that like I'm very torn apart between. I'm very much like in the middle of. Like I used to be very against it because I sold it for a while. Then like I kind of went back and I'm like, oh, I think it is good for certain things. And now I'm kind of like in the middle. I don't know about it.
I think what is it? There's two different types of life insurance, and one of them is, I think it's term life insurance,
Yeah.
where it's like it doesn't cost very much on the front end, but on the back end, your family can benefit from it. I think that's good. I recommend that. It's usually pretty nominal, and most companies offer it, so it's like why not take advantage of it?
Yeah, it's just like whenever you're getting matched a certain percentage, like you better take full advantage of that at your career.
Hmm.
What's your favorite part of your book? If there was something specifically that's like, really important to you and you think that every guy really needs that one part more.
Okay, wait. Well, honestly, there's two parts of the book that are my favorite chapters,
Yeah, say
and
both.
the first one is how anybody could be rich, and that's all on investing for retirement. And because that really is one of my favorite subjects. I just don't talk about it a lot on the podcast because most people, I don't know, they think finance and investing is boring or something. So
No, it's
it behooves you to learn it, though.
yeah.
So that's one of my favorite ones. And then the dating and spinning plates chapter, it's the longest chapter in the book. So I had RP Thor read the audio version.
Mhm.
That chapter alone is 3 hours long, and he had to split it into two parts because it honestly, when I wrote it, I sat down on a Sunday to write out the bullet points for it, and I spent probably a good 8 hours just writing out the bullet points. Like, okay, well, this is the first time I really sat down, soup to nuts, and broke down what I knew about dating and attraction and hypergamy and how that all works together, and how spinning plates is the most efficient way to date, no matter how you want to meet women. I talk about social circle game in the book. And so, yeah, that chapter is the longest chapter. So I'd say that's probably the one that most people are going to buy the book for.
That's awesome. When it comes to like book selling and stuff, is there like a strategy behind like doing the chapters, like that chapter that was like the most important to you? Do you put it more towards the beginning or the middle or the end to kind of hook the person early to like the book, or do you put it like what's a strategy behind doing something like that? Does it
Oh, I
matter?
did. No, so my strategy with the book was I really wanted to write it in a linear fashion from importance. So starting with the law of attraction chapter, that's the first chapter, because law of attraction really comes down to mindset, and
Mhm.
everything in life, if you want to be successful at it, it comes down to mindset. And so if
Yeah.
you can master your mindset and have a can do attitude, and when I say that, I mean a lot of guys, you see it in the MGTOW community. They think about why they can't do stuff, right? Oh, I can't have a good girl because of hypergamy or whatever. Well, how
Mhm.
can you? If you start thinking about how can I, your life will change.
Yeah.
Your subconscious mind will start grinding away, going, well, how can I do this? And if you start thinking that way, everything else will fall into place. So that is the first chapter. Then it's education, then career, and then once you have that money, now it's investing, and then it's physical fitness. I have a whole chapter on physical fitness because a lot of
Perfect.
people don't know how to work out, and they don't realize how important it was. And I talk about in the book. I think one of the contributing factors to my uh, failure of my divorce, my marriage failure, is I ended up becoming a fat bastard. I was like, I'm only 5'9", and I don't know why people listen to me. I'm not 6 feet tall. I'm only 5'9", ended up being like 230 pounds. And I was overweight. And if you look at my BMI, it was saying I was obese, and
Yeah.
I ended up losing all that weight after the marriage. And so I talk about how important that is in attraction, having being physically fit. It's not just important for your for attraction. It's important for overall physical health. A lot of people won't have to be on the drugs that they're on if they just lost all the weight, but we have an obesity epidemic in this country.
Yeah.
So that's an important chapter, and it's important for guys to take that seriously. So that's the next one. And then after that is dating and spinning plates, and then long-term relationship. And then I have a chapter on marriage and children. And marriage and children, I really am like, okay, look, I get it. A lot of people, that's the end state for them. They're sort of hardwired thinking that they have to get married. If you do, this is how you protect yourself. I talk about getting prenuptial agreements, getting putting your assets in trusts and stuff like that. And you gotta sort of think of it like an adult. 50% of marriages do end up in divorce, so you got to protect yourself. But I talk about in the long-term relationship chapter that you can get everything that you would normally get in a marriage just in a long-term relationship. There's really no reason to get the government involved in your relationship. So
Agreed.
but some people have to, they just feel like they have to. Okay.
Yeah, you can only put it off for so long. I actually shared a reel earlier, and it was like Andrew Tate being asked by Candace Owens, like if he was gonna get married, and he had like a very like heartfelt like response to it about how like he used to be against it, but like now there's something beautiful about like when you love somebody to trust them in that way. And I do kind of like I'm actually at a point right now where this is my first time saying this on my show too, that I plan on probably marrying my girl hopefully this next year, and I do want to propose and stuff, and I know it's a risk, I know it's something that most guys shouldn't do, and it's as bad as like Donovan Sharp did at his wedding. I wouldn't say this on my wedding day, but he said it like during their live wedding or whatever the video that they posted, where he was like, I'm just constantly prepared, for this to end, and you should know that, I'm ready for that if it's to happen. And I would never say that on my wedding day or anything, but
how romantic.
how romantic. But really, you got to have that mentality though in the back of your head, just like you're kind of doing this with a. I mean, you can't be living in a fairy tale land and just thinking that's always going to be sunshine and rainbows, I guess,
Yeah, it's just, I mean, if you're going to do it, just do it smartly, and you got to realize that it really is kind of a bad deal for men. But if, at the very least, having her sign that prenuptial agreement is a pretty good shit test for women. That tells me if I'm going to get married and she's going to sign that prenup, that she's got skin in the game, that she's like, okay, no, I want this to succeed. And so that at the very least, that's what a prenup is good for. A lot of people say that those get thrown out and whatever, but
they don't know the law that well then, because they don't usually. It's like usually not that bad.
It really depends on how you get it done. And I talk about that in the book too, like how if you just write something on a napkin, or if you go to LegalZoom and try to do it yourself, it's probably not the best way of doing it.
Don't let AI do it, even though there's so much AI lawyer stuff out there right now. Don't use that.
No, just it's one of those things where you get what you pay for, so go pay a couple grand, have her go get her own attorney, have them review it, right? And then it's very hard for them to argue coercion if she had her own attorney, approve it and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a super chat here, Sergio.
Yeah, go ahead, read it off, bro. Sorry, I can't read the super chats, guys. I can't see my screen today, but he got y'all.
It's from Joe Cole with $1.99. He says, "Damn, Sergio, you somehow look more Mexican now."
Am I tan? I haven't been walking outside. I've been having to walk in the damn gym. I used to hate walking on the treadmill, but I'm like getting used to it now, even though it makes me feel so weird when I walk off of it. You know what I'm talking about?
I hate treadmills. I hate stationary bike. It makes me feel like a hamster, on a hamster wheel. I like to go running outside. I go for like 4-mile runs every day. But if it's blizzarding out and it's icy, I'm not running in that. So I'm like, I'll go to the gym and I'll just suck it up and be like, God, this sucks. But
yeah, I actually just bought more clothes so I could do the outside stuff. But I mean, I'm getting used to the gym now. I changed my schedule up where I'm going like 6-7 days a week, at least 6 days. But like, it's because I'm running one of those days or Stairmaster or something, I'm not, working out every one of those days, but I was taking it really easy. That was actually my next question, was I wanted to ask, when it comes to gym routine, like what is your like routine?
Right now I switch it up. If you asked me like last week, it would have been different, but I'm doing something different this week. So right now I'm going to run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 miles. And then Tuesday is going to be chest, triceps, and shoulders. And then Thursday is back, biceps, and abs. I don't do normal leg days, like leg presses and stuff, because I run so much, and that actually hinders my running. So I look at running like it's my leg day. Some people disagree with that.
I actually kind of agree with that. I hope I can do that same.
Yeah, so that's what I like to do. In my book, though, I talk about the 4 exercises, the only 4 exercises you really need, and that's push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and either running or squats, right? You don't need any equipment for any of that except for maybe the pull-ups. You might get one of those door jam pull-up bars for $20 or something,
Yep.
but that will work pretty much your whole body, and those are really the exercises that the US military uses, so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you.
The
And
prison
then
workout system, man.
yeah, and then, everything else I look at is gravy because some people will be like, "Well, what about deadlifts, bro?" And it's like, okay, if you wanna do deadlifts, cool, do that too, but those are the only ones you need. I'm talking about, like, bare basics. Don't give me an excuse that, "Oh, I can't afford a gym membership." Can you afford a pull-up bar for $20? Okay, shut the hell up and at least do those exercises, You're
Yeah,
gonna be okay.
it's not that hard. I think once people get into as somebody that's recently had to learn to get into the habit, it's just once you start the habit, it's one of those 30 days. Once you do it 30 days, it kind of gets normal. I've been I changed it up a lot recently because my one of my friends told me to do time under tension, where like I hold the weights, down more, and like I'm not doing as much weight because I was trying to PR like every week, and that was great for like getting me really excited about working out. But, now, like, kinda doing the time under tension just feels better. I just get a better pump from it, I feel like.
I tried this out for a while. Do you know who Drew Bay is?
Uh-uh.
He's a guy that's, a lot of the Rule Zero guys follow in the space. He's a fitness expert, and he likes to tell guys, and he's totally jacked too, and he's like 60 or something like that, totally jacked. He likes to do very slow movements, very slow, deliberate movements. And he says
Yeah.
that, doing it his way, you only have to be in the gym like 20 minutes. I tried doing that. It does work out very well, but it's boring as fuck. And I'm just like, this is so boring. I just, I want to be doing something else. So I don't like doing it just because it's boring.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. It is boring, 1,000%. But, and then also, like, reverse pyramid, do you ever do stuff like that? Or, like, what's your routine when it comes to the reps?
Yeah. Yeah, for the last couple of months, I've been doing, drop sets. I guess that's what you're talking about, reverse
Yeah,
where you start at the highest and work
and
your
then
way.
work your way down. Yeah.
Yeah, basically 1 set to failure. I like doing that a lot. It does take up a lot of time, though. If you start, like, at the top of the stack or as high as you can go, and you're doing as many reps as you can, drop it down as many reps as you can until you get to the bottom. That takes a long time, so, I like doing it. It's very effective. I think I'm gonna switch just for a while to 3 sets of 10 reps. At like was it 80% of my max for a while, just because I want to change things up and I'm getting bored.
What do you think about diet? Like, do you have a specific, preference when it comes to that?
So I personally am on keto, and I've been on keto for the last couple of years, and I love it. It's just it makes it so much easier for me, but it's not for everybody. A lot of people, they just can't give up pasta or whatever. They like their baked potatoes and stuff, and you can't have any of that stuff when you're on keto. But I love it. It allows me to when I'm eating, I don't eat that much, and it fills me up, and I'm satiated longer with it because it's a high fat type, type diet. In my book, though, I talk about calories in, calories out, just counting your calories, and that's actually how I lost all the weight after my divorce. Was I was just tired of being a fat piece of shit, and so I started. I got a MyFitnessPal and MapMyFitness, the 2 apps. And I
Mhm.
started counting my calories, and as I was exercising, it would take that into a consideration, and I was able to lose about 50 pounds. And to me, that's just the easiest way. It works for everybody because you can pretty much eat whatever you want as long as you account for the calories. And what ends up happening is you start naturally picking better foods, which I explained in the book too. Like you notice like a candy bar is 100 calories, an apple is 90 calories, so they're pretty close in calories. But if you eat the candy bar, you're going to be hungry in 20 minutes, whereas the apple's got fiber and pectin in it, and you're going to feel satiated longer eating the apple. So you're probably going to go with the apple every time.
Yeah. No, I really would like to try a diet like that for a little small period of time, just see how it works. I'm just kind of just doing what Greg O'Gallagher says, which is just the intermittent, the fasting, till a certain time every day, and then also um, just not eating over the calories. Obviously, we have to have a caloric deficit, as they say, or whatever.
You know
Or
what's
the
funny?
hard skinny though, so I'm having a real hard time determining what the hell I'm supposed to be doing.
You know what's funny? If you read this old book, The Science of Being Well, it's the second one in this trilogy. It's
Mhm.
old. It was written in like 1911. The guy talks about intermittent fasting back in 1911. He didn't call it that though. He's saying you only want to eat when you have a, earned hunger, is what he says. So he's like, if you're a lumberjack, you go out and chop wood until you're hungry. That'll
Yeah.
probably be around noon or so. And it's like, I'm like, this dude's talking about intermittent fasting. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah, no, I like whenever we find in history that people are already, or like we find something now and we're like, oh, that must be so new, and you find out somebody knew it hundreds of years ago, and like we're just kind of stupid right now.
Or we just, the knowledge is always there, it just gets recycled. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as some people, as Nikola Tesla would say, he just tapped into the universe and would grab certain things that were already, presented, like already created by other humans or something,
Yeah. Yeah. That's law of attraction. That's the quantum theory of law of attraction, which I try not to get into in my book because a lot of people think that's too woo woo. Um,
Yeah,
but man, I love the woo woo shit, dude. Don't
It
get me
borders
started.
it borders on the line of us telling the girls, stop saying manifest it, and that's why the guys are kind of scared to talk about those type of things. But it's so true. It's just like if you look for red cars all day, you'll be surprised how many red cars you'll see when you're
Yeah.
driving around. It's a big deal.
People don't like the word manifested because it sounds woo woo and chick cracky, but it's like things manifest in your life, bro. Like they do. Like they
The one
do.
thing that the girls might be kind of right about sometimes. Now, are they going to manifest their 6'4", foot long, 6 pack abs guy? Probably not.
Probably
But
not. Well, not with their crystals and their, their horoscopes. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But man, I mean, when I talk, the way I describe the law of attraction is it's your subconscious mind is it's like a supercomputer. It's going to figure out how to get you where you need to go. You'll start getting ideas of maybe I should go here today, maybe I should do this today. And as long as you act on that stuff, it'll lead you in the right direction. Now you might not get your 6 foot tall, 6 pack ab fucking Adonis guy, but you'll probably run into a guy that really, really blows your skirt up. And that's how that works.
yeah.
You got to be open to something better.
I wanted to ask you, something that I'm kind of pivoting to right now, and something that I'm kind of thinking about just rebranding all the way into because I've been going all in on marketing. I haven't been doing my channel a lot lately. Sorry guys, because I've been running my marketing agency, and I wanted to ask you, when it comes to marketing and branding in the manosphere, doing sales and stuff. Do you have any tips towards that type of stuff? I noticed you're really good at it. Like I judge a lot of people based off that stuff. I look at how everybody in the manosphere does their shit, and you're really on top of your game. Do you like? Would you say that that's something that's a really big deal in the manosphere? And like one of my big theories is that like the really big channels don't even have to be good at marketing and sales sometimes because they already were so good at it at the beginning that once they start going viral, they can kind of like chill and let off like the crazy pushing they were doing because it's like they're viral, like they're gonna make it, they don't need as much marketing anymore. Whereas like the smaller guys like you or me, we have to do our absolute best at those things right now because you're just trying to just now be seen and build an audience. What's your opinion on all that stuff?
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I noticed that guys that have been on YouTube for, like 7 years, for instance, right? I just interviewed George Bruno. Fascinating guy, George Bruno. He's got 234,000 subscribers on YouTube. And guys like that have been on YouTube forever, they don't have to do much because they put something out on YouTube, they immediately get tens of thousands of eyes on it.
Yeah.
They don't even have to. And you talk to someone like Elliot Hulse, he's got 2 million subscribers. And you talk to him and he's like, yeah, I'm not getting the views I used to get, but still his views with one video is like tens of thousands of views. It's like, they don't have to try that hard. Sure, they're not getting millions of views that they'd like, they're only getting a percentage, but still like that's a huge ass percentage. So they don't have to try that hard. But yeah, guys like me and you, where we're coming up in the space. We're new. We have to fight the algorithms. I think a lot of the earlier guys didn't have to fight so much of, algorithms. It was all just first come, first served, and whoever liked the video was very simple. And now it's like, we don't like this guy because he does this type of content. So let's push his content down. And then you got government programs like we just did a Rule Zero about it, where the DHS is funding NGOs to siphon traffic away from content creators like us.
Yeah.
To push it to content creators that, that they like. And it's like, man, this sucks. So we're sort of fighting an uphill battle that, we can only fight with marketing. I've been a student of marketing since I was in high school. I was in a program in high school called DECA. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's basically a marketing club. And I don't know how I ended up. I think I signed up for it because I heard it was like a Mickey Mouse class, and I could just skate by, and I was a shitty student. But I ended up learning in that class like the concept of branding and how important branding is. And then I also did door-to-door office supply sales for a while after the Navy, which I hated, but it really taught me stuff about impulse factors, and psychological tricks that people use to get you to buy products. And so that sort of helped me. If you notice, if I'm pushing a product on social media, you'll notice like, especially for Beer Club, for instance, right? If I'm getting ready to push Beer Club, the next Beer Club meetup, which is my personal men's group, it'll be the same picture every day. I'll post it every day. I'll schedule it. I use a tool called Loomly, and I'll schedule it daily until the meetup. And that alone is what we call branding, right? Where people might not buy right away, but what they end up doing is they see it every day. They see it every day. They see it every day. Now they become familiar with it. And now they sort of have a relationship with that brand now. Now okay, you know what? Maybe there's something to this. Maybe let me try that out. I like, if the first time they see something, they'll dismiss it. I've never heard of that before. But if they see it 100 times, they're like, I keep seeing that. What is that all about? And then they'll go buy it. That's how Coke works. Coke is the biggest brand on the planet. A lot of people think Coca-Cola is the best tasting cola. It's not. It's that their emotional investment in the brand of Coca-Cola that causes them to want to buy it more. It's not that it tastes better than Pepsi, but and there's studies on that. So yeah, I think it's super important. If you want to get more engagement, I don't know, some algorithms favor certain people. I think early on in TikTok, I was going viral like every other day. Now it's not so much. I think TikTok hates me. I'm on my third account. So, I'm trying my best. So I just keep pushing that content out. And the more I push it out, I'm like, I'm working the branding, game with that, as opposed to the virality game.
Yeah. I don't think that all the algorithms are completely different since Tate did what he did. I see TikTok as borderline, pointless if you're in red pill content. Facebook is still good, like pretty decent. You can still build a following on Facebook, but not as good as it was before. Instagram, it's really hard. They know not to push any more of that content almost at all now on Instagram. Twitter has actually been picking up on my videos. I had one get like 13,000 impressions the other day, and I don't even know why. Like, it wasn't that special. So I think Twitter might be fixing like some of their stuff. I really love studying all the algorithms. That's why I love doing the marketing, is because I love learning the game of each one of them and how they work and what makes them best and how they're always changing. So you can like beat somebody because you're learning like the changing factors that are going on. When it comes to sales, you did a show, I think the other day, and it was talking about sales and with women. When it comes to marketing and branding and sales, do you think it's kind of fun to like do that for your channel, but then also see the correlation where a lot of that stuff also works with women in the other way?
I never thought about sales being related to dating until after I got divorced and after my my relationship with Red Pill Chick, and I started learning dating. And I was like, Corey Wayne's book goes into it quite a bit. He talks about, because he used to do real estate sales, and so he talks about how sales goes hand in hand with dating, and you're essentially selling yourself, and it's all about impulse factors and in emotions and engaging emotionally this way and that way. And I was like, well, geez, I had a job doing door-to-door office supply sales that was probably one of the best sales programs ever created. It was by a company called DS Max, and then they had a branch out called Sidcore. And the DS Max guys were started by guys who would go to Target and buy pots and pans and then go and hustle these pots and pans out of the back of their car, right? And they ended up turning it to a multi-billion-dollar international business. And so they had what's called the merch division. They if you ever are around like San Diego or Los Angeles, and you got guys on the street trying to hustle you bullshit toys or whatever, that's them. And they also had a division called the flowers division. So guys going around trying to sell you roses for your girlfriend, stuff like that. That's them.
Wow.
I worked for the branch called Sidcore, where we were going around selling office supplies. Do you know who Jamie Date is? Have you ever heard of Jamie Date?
Never heard that.
So Jamie Date is a female dating coach. She's one of the only female dating coaches that I have respect for. she
That's
worked for Sidcore. And I didn't know about that until I interviewed her on my podcast. I was like, was that company that you worked for this company? She's like, yeah. I'm like, get the hell out of here. She used to sell solar panels door to door. Right. And so that's one of the reasons why I respect her, is because she has a unique understanding of how to make people like you quickly, how to deal with rejection, how to, basically get the sale very quickly. And that's something that you can use, if you're talking to women. You have to get them to like you, build rapport quickly, get them on the date, So
There's a lot of correlation when you look at some of the biggest YouTubers or some of the people that I would say are some of the best speakers online, and them being in sales background or marketing background or branding background. And I really think that, if you want to be the best, even at this YouTube game and stuff, it really comes down to, sales, marketing, branding, because you're selling yourself just when you're talking to people every day.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at Rollo. Before he wrote, international bestseller, he did marketing and branding for the liquor industry.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense. Like it always, like everybody, like I've been on this kick now for a few months and been reading so much books on it. And I'm just obsessed. I also, my mentorship is for networking. Like I want to teach guys how to network, and it was mostly through women and just meeting other men. And I never realized how much, starting a marketing agency, how much I'm getting business through, connecting and networking with people that are business owners, and they send me to other ones. So I didn't realize that networking almost is marketing. Like
mhm.
your ability to network really well is actually goes perfect hand in hand with marketing. And so now I think I'm pivoting more to wanting to teach marketing, because I realize it's such a key thing, even in networking with people in your own city. And I'm targeting my business towards blue collar workers only in Dallas, Texas now too. And just doing that niche down, it's crazy to see how much people today want somebody with a personal relationship, because the only reason why I'm getting these businesses is because I'm going and saying, hey, let me come shake your hand and show you I'm a real person. I'm not one of these people online that calls you and is going to be in Cincinnati or something. And people really yearn for that real life thing again. And I think that's what's going to push people out back into the real world, is trying to make money, because most people, are getting broke right now. And most people also don't go outside. But as you know, sales skills is one of the best things to get women. So guys need to get out there and learn these type of things.
Yeah. And going to networking, I talk about in my book, when it comes to career, every job that I've gotten in the IT industry is because of people I know, not necessarily what I know. And networking is just, it's such a powerful tool, especially in competitive industries like IT. Because in San Diego, I knew lots of guys that I went to college with that, they all learned the same stuff I did in school, but they got out of school and they never got jobs in IT. They just couldn't figure out how to do it. It's such a competitive market, but I was already working in IT when I started going to college. So, and that was because my wife at the time knew somebody, and her husband managed an IT, department for a company. And so it's like, she asked him, hey, do you have a job, available? And he's like, yeah, he basically invented one for me. And
It's about who you know, not what you know.
right. And it's in every job in IT, it's because of I've known somebody and they've referred me or whatever. And so it's super important to make friends. Make friends in real life, guys. Don't just, make friends online and play video games and jerk off.
Yeah, and that's why I'm loving marketing right now too. Is it's so easy to provide value to so many different people, especially people who have money and that are special. That's the whole point of like every little trick you learn in marketing is to provide more value to somebody with more money. Was writing your book really hard, man? When it comes to if there was anybody that was watching this that is the type where they wanted to start a career online or start their first book or anything, is it hard to start a book? What are the first few steps that they could take?
I thought it was hard. In fact, if you read the introduction, I talk about how if anyone says writing a book's easy, they either really love writing and they're a nerd, or they're lying to you. They're lying to you. I wrote, I started writing that book 3 times, and then I went back and I was like, I don't want to. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I want to write. And so it took me about 3 times to figure out what I wanted to do. And so, yeah, it was hard. And then I only dedicated every other weekend on Sundays to write, which there was a lot of times where that Sunday didn't work out for me and I couldn't write that weekend. And so, yeah, I ended up skipping. I would go like a whole month without writing. And yeah, it was a grind, but I was like, I've got to finish this. I thought I was going to finish it last year because I started it in January of last year. And no, I don't even think I was halfway done. And so it wasn't until like I finished just like in November.
So
You know,
to like take your time if anybody's gonna do this, it's gonna take a while whenever you start if somebody's
it,
gonna do this.
it can. I mean, then you look at someone like Aaron Clarey, who drops a new book every year. That dude, he hates writing. If you talk to him, he hates writing. But because he hates it, he says he'll lock himself in a room and just force himself to bang it out. You know. And then
Yeah,
Ryan's
Flynn.
one of the best things about being on Rule Zero is just being able to sit under the learning tree of all these guys, right?
Oh yeah.
Ryan told me, he's like, just write it, dude. Just write it. It's gonna be shitty. It's gonna be a complete pile of shit when you write it. That's what the editor's for, you know? And I was like, okay, fine. So like, don't try to make it perfect the first time you write it. And so I didn't, I tried my best, to make it flow nice, but there were so many corrections afterwards. But that's just, a part of the game. So I would say do that. Make sure you do get an editor. I read another guy's book a couple years ago, and he clearly didn't have an editor. It was really bad. I was like, man, like it was a slog to get through. And he asked me, what do you think about it? I'm like, I think you could have used an editor, man. I gotta say. He's like, oh, I did have it edited. I'm like, did you? Because it wasn't very well edited.
Well, there's different quality of editors for sure, probably, I'm sure. And like I'm sure some are better at like helping you paraphrase or like helping you reword things to like way better ways, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing. Eric Everhard, porn star. I don't know if you know who he is. Legendary porn star Eric Everhard. He wrote a book and he goes, hey, he's such a down to earth dude too, right? He just randomly DMs me shit and he's like, hey man, I hear you're writing a book. Let me give you a piece of advice. Make sure that your editor, not only reads or looks at it for grammatical errors, but make sure that they're reading it for flow too, and that they add things like, oh, you could better describe something here, or the reader doesn't understand this, you need to expand on that. And so I made sure that my editor did all that. Thanks, Eric Everhard.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm gonna make sure to find. I'm happy that I have you to be able to help me out and connect me whenever I get to that point for my stuff.
Yeah. I'm happy to help other dudes out, so
I'm really torn between the two different subjects I want to do it on. It's either going to be, about the pre-selection and being friends with women and all the little tricks, nicks, tricks that I have up my sleeve when it comes to that. Or I really want to talk about altruism and how it's connected to capitalism and religion. Because I really think that altruism, like at its core, is really what a lot of Christian, specifically religion, is based around. And also, even capitalism, even providing value, like Alex Ramosi as example, he tells you to provide as much value to other people until they want to give you money back. That's a very like Christian concept to me, or very altruistic concept to me. So I'm going to have to choose between if I want to kind of take a route where I take a philosophical take on something, or if I try to stay in the men-women game and talk about, help guys with dating and stuff.
Dude,
I'm really right now in my life, I don't know what I want to do in those.
I think a book titled Hooters Game with a picture of like a Hooters girl's ass on the cover, that would be solid gold, dude. That you'd be printing money with that.
Dude, I don't. So, is there like copyright things or something like that? Are you allowed to do stuff like that?
I think you're allowed to, because you're not you're not necessarily using their logo, like you're not stealing you're not trying to like compete with them, by selling chicken wings. You're talking about their business sort of as an editorial way. I'm sure you'd be fine.
I'm bringing them more business. I'm like advertising for them, kind of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How could you be mad about that? Yeah.
Dude,
No,
and so many guys go to Hooters thinking they're going to score with the waitresses. It's like, you've done it. You know how to do it. You're teaching guys. Dude, you would be printing money with that book, man.
yeah, maybe I should say it. Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Like I'm at this really weird point right now with my channel where I'm trying to decide if I want to rebrand, if I want to focus on giving more value and more marketing tips. I have a bunch of business owners that I'm gonna have lined up after you for this next week or two. They're gonna come on, and I want to talk to them about marketing and business and just making money. Should I keep doing that, or should or is it good to do both? Try to bring the ladies on. What would you do if you're in my situation, basically?
Honestly, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't start a second channel and make a separate, purple pill marketing channel, and build that up separately and do both. Why not do both?
Yeah.
Unless it's just a time suck, but you
Just scared of starting at zero on another channel. That's what I'm scared of.
but yeah, but you could leverage your existing channel to send people over there. I mean, I think that's what a lot of guys look at. Rich Cooper, right? Rich Cooper started with entrepreneurs and cars, and it wasn't really about red pill stuff at first. It was literally about rich guys driving around fancy cars, and then he got divorced or dumped or whatever, and his life got turned upside down, and he started talking about the women. And then he started a new channel. He eventually started a new channel called the Unplugged Alpha. And so that's where he talks about, his dating and relationship stuff now. And I think he leveraged his big following on entrepreneurs and cars to push people over there. You could do the same thing.
I had no idea that it all started like that. And that's another thing is because, in marketing and branding and stuff, it's really bad to have multiple links, like, or a lot of places for somebody to go. You want it
Yeah.
really simple. So it's like, I'm scared to have two separate things. Like, I don't know if I got to like do a whole rebrand, do two things at once. I don't know. I'm scared. Marketing is really crazy and fun at the same time
Yeah.
because you're testing a lot of things all the time.
Well, that's why, like Ryan Stone, for instance, he's slowly starting to try to pivot into the video game space, and so he has a separate channel called Digital Ryan, where he plays video games and stuff like that.
See, it's like I want to start doing that too. Like I heard recently that I might be able to watch movies on Rumble, and I'm a huge movie head, and I was like, I would love to just be able to sit there and watch movies without getting copyright striked, and just watch movies with people. And then I also want to start gaming, because I haven't gamed in like a year and a half, and it would be fun to start doing that again and stream it, and do like, because I don't know if you see me all the time, but I'm always in Spaces events. That's where I
Mm.
debate all these MRA guys on Twitter.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would love to like play video, because sometimes I know I can like play a game and then also like listen on the space. So it'd be cool to like do both at the same time, and kind of like what Destiny was doing for a long time, where he would be playing video games but debating people in Discords.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of what Ryan's thing is, right? Like he's playing video games and then throws in red pill stuff, and they talk about red pill, but it's like lighthearted, it's not serious, and it's more about the gaming experience than it is about red pill, really.
What games is he playing?
I think he mostly plays Minecraft right now.
Oh, I mean, I'm not a Minecraft person, but I was thinking maybe me and Ryan Stone were gonna have a place where we actually come in common ground somewhere, but I don't know.
That might be it. That might be it.
Man, this was really fun having you. I really love all the experience you have, and it sounds like you're the type that, being around, Rule Zero and being around so many successful guys, in your industry, you're really good at absorbing everything that they try to teach you or everything that they've shown you. And I'm just happy that I even get to have this talk with you, because I'm kind of, outed by all of them sometimes. So it's nice that, like, I still get to come and learn some of that stuff from you, man. And it's just nice, having an ally in this space when it comes to that. I really appreciate everything that you've taught me and helped me with, man.
Just trying to
Everybody,
pay it forward, man.
yeah, no, everybody, please go check out his stuff. I'm going to be probably downloading your audiobook right around Christmas time, so I'm really excited to be able to listen to that on one of my runs or walks, man. Everybody, please go check it out and let me know what y'all think about the book too, because I'm thinking about starting a Spaces event, guys. All my YouTube people that are watching right now, I'm probably going to start a weekly or bi-weekly book club meetup on Spaces. And one of our first books probably will be his. So if you're any of my crew, or any of my Twitter guys who are watching right now, please make sure, to get his book, because it's probably going to be one of the first books that we do together. I really appreciate you though, man. Go ahead and shout your stuff out though, so they can find you.
Yeah, so get the book. It's called Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. It's available on Amazon in all the formats, Kindle, paperback, hardcover. There's a special edition that's got, dinosaurs and shit on it for no reason. Uh, it's out in Audible already. So if you're an audiobook person, I'm an audiobook person. I listen to it while I go to the gym or go and, drive in my car or jog or whatever. It's just effortless learning that way. So get it on Audible. Otherwise, you can check out my podcast, the Come On Man podcast, on all major podcast platforms. In fact, Sergio was on this morning. Actually, he's my guest today. So go and listen to that interview.
Yeah, guys, go check it out. I revealed. I mean, I didn't reveal nothing too secretive. I don't think. But no.
They talk about. He really gets into depth on Hooters game, which is. I thought that was fucking fascinating. By the way.
Yeah. I can't wait to actually, see if there's a market for it if I put it out a book about stuff like that, because I'm just so convinced that guys don't want to use pre-selection and they don't want to, be friends with women, but maybe there is a market out there somewhere and I'm just not marketing well enough to find them.
I mean, honestly, just talking about it as Hooters game, I really think is the selling point, right? Because dudes love Hooters, man. They love the Hooters girls, and it's like, hey, you can sleep with these girls. I'll teach you how. Guys are like, wait, what? What?
Be called Hooters game, man. I just need to stand. I'm so embarrassed of it, but I just gotta fucking stand on it. I guess,
dude, own that shit, dude. I love it.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta stand on the weirdest things to you, but it's gonna end up working. But no, I really appreciate you, dude. I can't wait to do this again. Hopefully, like in 6 months or something, we can come back and I can hear how the book did, and maybe I'll be in a whole different place too, and we'll be able to do this again. But no, thank you, dude. Everybody, I gotta go click the button. So yeah, peace out.